So the reason why we just don't really understand who we are and how we became to be and the powers that we have within, because that's not the construct in this 3D, in this third dimensional model that we're in.
Hello and welcome to Self Talk. I'm your host, Rachel Astarte. Today I have as my guest Jason Medlock. He's the best-selling author of the groundbreaking book, Empowered by Consciousness. He is also a level 2 quantum healing hypnotist and highly sought-after mindset coach who brings a transformative experience to audiences nationwide. Having worked extensively with a diverse clientele, including business owners and athletes, Jason has perfected an integrative approach to personal development and self-discovery. Well, that's what we are all about. So I'm so excited to welcome you, Jason. Welcome to Self Talk.
Rachel, thank you for having me on. I'm excited to, dive off into the unknown, so to speak. But it's always exciting to come on different platforms and just share knowledge of the subconscious mind, of the higher self, how all these things can work together to help better people's lives.
Yes, and that's what I'd love to talk about today, particularly the quantum healing hypnosis technique that you work with. But we're going to get to that in a minute. First, I would love if you would share with the listeners how you got into this field. What's your background and what brought you to this amazing work?
Well, I write about this in my book. I was a 8-year-old boy in church, wondering where God was. Now, I went to Sunday school every Sunday and, vacation Bible study. I did all of that. And I was asking my mom, where is he at? Where? He's like, he's everywhere. He's around you. So I was just, as a little boy, just trying to find out, when I was going to meet him or if I could hear him. You know how we do when we're kids. So I'm in church just playing with toys every Sunday, messing around in the pews, not really paying attention. And, one day I asked my sister, how do we know when God is around, or how do we understand when he's listening? And she's like, you just have to feel him. So that's how my curiosity started as a Methodist. And people you say, well, you're writing about consciousness and are you religious? Well, I'm a Methodist. I mean, I believe in God. But I believe that there are things that we can do to enhance our lives using our mind and tapping into his consciousness. So this went on, and as I got into college, my sister would feed me information and how-tos with affirmations of faith. And she would give me these affirmations of faith, and I would say them while I was in college playing football. And I would have these different things I said every day. I'm going to be the best at this, and I'm going to have the best grades, and all these things were working, Rachel. And I'm like, okay, this stuff works that my sister's giving me. And as I matriculated through college, and I moved off into my adult life and sort of, kind of, I moved away from being curious about space and about the stars and what's that up there? So I moved away from that for a while and then came back to it. And my sister, and I talk about her in my book, she introduced me to The Secret, and the documentary The Secret. So I started to watch that, and that just really took the cake for me. Just to understand metaphysics and the law of attraction and vision boarding and all those wonderful things that you can do to attract people to you. So I started to participate in a vision board party every year that my sister would have. And there I would put the images up. I would then have my board, and God is my witness. At least 3 to 4 items off of this vision board would happen for me at the end of the years, because we would talk about what happened on the board. And that was just really amazing. So I started to move back into understanding, how does energy work? How does this attraction happen? And just engulfing myself in reading and researching. And then COVID-19 hit. After several years of doing that, COVID hit, which slowed my entire life down. This fast hustle, bustle construct that we live in was just slowed down. And it's almost like Source. When I say Source, I mean God, but Source, when it's almost like he wanted everyone to take notice of themselves.
Yes. Oh, 100%.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Hmm.
And to explore who you are. And I heard this. You start to understand you more, Jason. And I started to study Dolores Cannon. I started to study Bob Monroe, Journeys Out of the Body, Erin Pavlin, the out of body experience. She has a workbook, the Astral Projection Out of Body Experience, meditation. I became a transcendental meditator. Um, Two world-renowned remote viewing instructors. Tony Civilele taught me how to scientific remote view. And I had George, I forget his name, and I'm sorry about that, but he's one of the top psychics in Hawaii. He taught me how to associate remote view. And then I started to follow and study Dolores Cannon and started to read all her books and became fascinated with the power of quantum healing hypnosis. And I started to put all this stuff together. And I got training from a guy by the name of Oracle Owen, psychic mediumship training. I took channeling training from Chloe Moores, who's my spiritual coach. So I spent a lot of money on coaches, to say the least. And just to garner all this information and start to really see the picture, I'm like, okay, we can use a combination of spiritual modalities to actually change our lives. And that's how I started. And I started to move these principles into mindset coaching. I wrote a book about everything that I experienced. Psychedelics. I experimented with the albino strand of mushroom, and I had a monitor in the room, of course, and the experience I had with that. So I started to think back and my first out of body experience and wrote about all of that. And that's my start, Rachel. That's how I got here
Yeah.
to where I am, to where I'm at today.
That's an amazing story. And isn't it funny how the moment we wake, I talk about this a lot, so my listeners are like, I know, but how interesting it is that the moment we wake up, one of the first things we want to do is help others wake up.
Yes, that's very interesting and very profound. And we want to help others wake up, and we want to help others heal. And then we say, bingo, ooh, I'm running out of money. This needs to become a business. We have to figure out how to, make this to where I can keep helping people wake up and keep this thing going. But no, you start to become embarrassed to ask for a fee or ask for something because it's supposed to be gifts that we already have. But that's the natural inclination, is to want to help and to want to share and show people. And I've done that for the last several years.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And so what would you say, if anything, I'm sure there's some connection, but all of the modalities that you studied, is there a common theme with all of them that you have found?
Yes, I'm glad you asked that. Yes, it is. The common theme is the subconscious mind and moving yourself to a quiet place so that you can access it. And I should say another common theme is meditation. Meditation is the key to each modality that you work with. Trying to work in these different spaces requires this stillness, this peace, and you can only attain that by prayer. Maybe it's yoga, but I found that meditation for me moves me in this deep, peaceful transcendence space where I am literally experiencing consciousness. And people may say, well, what is that? Well, that's just the subtle piece of being inside and enjoying actually nothing, just the quietness. And the reason why I say that is the base is because from that space, you're able to decipher or differentiate between the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. And you can now tell who's talking to you because we live our life consciously. Okay. But the subconscious mind knows everything about you. It knows everything that you've ever done. It knows everything that you will do. It protects you from 0 to 8 years old, 0 to 7 years old. It guides you all the way until the conscious mind takes over. It knows everything that you will do and that you want to do, and it will help you. But to be able to hear it, I couldn't hear it when I started to first practice remote viewing because we access the subconscious mind by being quiet and still and creating ideograms on the page and then touching them to give us information. The only way you can do that is to have a robust practice of meditation or prayer or whatever the case may be to help you reach that level of peace. Even out of body experiences, I've found that, and I've read that um, being as peaceful and quiet and having love in your heart facilitates the out of body experience. So I'd like to say that that would be the base, would be meditation.
Yeah, I love that too. What advice might you give to someone who says, I can't quiet my mind? Like you mentioned earlier that you know, all the hustle and bustle that you were doing, and that kind of came to a stop with COVID for so many of us when we had to kind of shut down a little bit. But that opened the opportunity for us to go inside, right? And to be able to ask questions about what is really important to me. So that's a larger process. But if somebody, a lot of people, when they hear the word meditation, they think, oh, I could never quiet my mind enough to do meditation. What advice do you give to your clients about how to approach a meditation practice?
Patterns, and they push them to you to actually match with your geometry and to heal certain parts of the equation of what makes you you. So galactic energy healing is channeled patterns from different dimensions, from channeled beings, and we use them to heal you emotionally, and physically in some cases. So the way I was taught how to use galactic energy healing, I would go off into maybe a 10-minute meditation, and then I would then start at the top floor, and this is all mental. And I would get on the elevator and I would move down the elevator until I got to the heart space. And once I got to the heart space, I would walk out the heart space, and it's a long corridor. And I walk out to the corridor, and I open the door, and there's this lush, green, fabulous outdoor area full of water, full of birds, full of this beautiful places. And I sit on this illuminated bench. And once I sit there, I'm waiting on this light being that's walking towards me. And I can see him from a distance, and he's walking towards me. And from there, I ask him for healing for my client who's suffering from depression, who's suffering from some sort of mental illness. Is there a pattern? Is there a suggestion for you to give me? And this is in a channeling session. And then you can see the pattern. Some people see the pattern. Some people feel the pattern to use. And then you say, thank you and gratitude to you for helping me, use this, healing technique. And you give all your gratitude to God and all that. And so I move back through the corridor and move back, and then I come out of the session. And we have all these different patterns that we already have that have been channeled by our instructor. And I'll look for the pattern that was closest to it, and then I'll grab that pattern. And then while I'm still doing the session, I'll draw, like Koku Ray is one of them. You start and you draw the pattern, and then you push it to the client. And a few days later, they start to feel relief. And it's just like Reiki. I don't say just like Reiki. Reiki, obviously, there are Reiki beams of energy that are flowing to the earth. And Reiki masters clap their hands, and they create this energy in their hands, and they hover over the body. And they use pendulums to find out where the chakras are closed, where the wheels are turning. I mean, once they move their hands around the client and open these different pendulum wheels and these different wheels, then they can get those part those parts of the client back working again, feeling wonderful. And we use patterns, energy healing patterns that have been created by other beings in different dimensions to do the exact same thing.
Beautiful. It's
Yes.
always good to have many different modalities to use because everyone is different and each of them has their own way of healing. Um, Now, a lot of people have heard of hypnotherapy or hypnosis. Let's talk for a second about quantum healing hypnosis technique. What makes it different from, let's say, traditional hypnosis?
From clinical hypnosis, which is what Dolores Cannon would say, it's boring. I was a clinical hypnotherapist for years, and it's boring, and it doesn't get you deep enough. This is her, and I can hear her voice in our training. Um, but quantum healing hypnosis is a deeper form of traditional hypnosis that combines elements of hypnosis, past life regression, and um, um, spiritual aspirations and spiritual exploration. And we move the clients past the theta brainwave state, and we operate with clinical hypnosis in the theta brainwave state. You can give suggestions. You can also reprogram the subconscious mind in the theta brainwave state. How do we know this? Advertisers do it when we're watching television. We're focused on those commercials and that food and then the cheese and that pizza. And we're like, I want that because we're in the theta brainwave state, which is the state of focus, the state of intense intention. Okay, so we move past that to the somnambulistic state, which is a deeper state up under the theta brainwave state. And we can then access the higher self, the subconscious mind, source, whatever the language is for the audience that they are comfortable with. And what's different than clinical hypnosis, in clinical hypnosis, you're with the client and you are giving these suggestions. You start off with an induction, and then you get up into a deepener, and then you move off into the body, which is giving us suggestions on what we're going to change. And they're laying there comfortable in peace. 25 minutes, we're done. We need 12 sessions. We need 10 sessions of this, but I can help you stop biting your nails or stop pulling your hair out. Quantum hypnosis is a 4.5, 5 hour session. And it acts as just like a mediumship, only you're the medium. You're not sitting anywhere or online with a medium and them telling you have a new job coming. And this is what the higher self said to you that you should continue to build your relationship with your mother and also rebuild this fractured relationship with your boss. He's waiting on you to apologize. You don't do that with quantum hypnosis. In quantum hypnosis, when we get you in the somnambulistic state, we move you to different past lives. And in those past lives, we're trying to find out, where did the child abuse come from? Which past lives gives us a clue. And we get in these past lives and we're constantly asking questions of the client, and we're having them recreate the scene. One lady I had, I dropped her off the cloud and I said, "Where are you?" And she says, "I'm in a forest and they're chasing me." "Who's chasing you?" Those men are chasing me and they're not going to get me." And she's running, running, running. I said, "What are you wearing?" "A dress." "How old are you? Are you short or tall? Do you have feet? What color are your hands? Are you wearing any jewelry?" We ask all these questions to paint the scene so that the client moves deeper and deeper into that lifetime. The key to hypnosis is to keep the client talking, 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 and it moves them deeper, 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 and they experience this lifetime. We can move the person forward or backwards while we have them in past life regression. So once we move from that, we then move to moving that person that we were just talking to, moving you back to that scene, to that place. and wishing that person well. But we have moved forward. That person will find everything they're looking for, but now we have moved forward. And then you move that person back to where they are. And then you move your consciousness of Rachel. I want the consciousness of Rachel to come back to this lifetime. And then while I have you there, then I'm asking, can I speak to your subconscious? And once I can pull the subconscious out, your voice typically changes. Sometimes the voice stays the same, but it's a beautiful intelligence within you that starts to speak. And I ask for permission to speak to the subconscious. Do I have permission to speak? Yes. So we carry on this conversation. The client typically has about 10 questions, and we get all the questions answered, and the information comes from the client. I record all of my sessions with audio, and I have a video camera, because people sometimes they'll hear the audio, Rachel, and they'll say, well, who is that speaking? Who is that? No,
Wow.
that's you. And here's the videotape that shows that that's you. And to get all the answers that you've ever wanted to know, and what is your purpose in life? And am I an indigo kid? How will the earth be in the next 20 years? Whatever you want to know, we can get them answered if the subconscious mind sees fit for you to know. And if it's the information is for the greater good of all. Dolores has cleared cancer. She's cleared bone disease. If you've read of her, and I know you have, she's healed thousands of people, diseases, using quantum hypnosis. But the question may be, Rachel, well, how did she do that? Well, if you cut your hand, and if we didn't have neosporin or alcohol, if we didn't have any of that, eventually the skin would go a scab and it would heal. Well, how? What? The body heals itself. We have no business being sick unless we want to be sick, but the body heals itself. Well, why? How does the body heal itself? Well, the body is alive. The subconscious directs everything that you do. So the subconscious and the body is connected. And this message from the brain says, okay, heal this area because we have an injury. Send, antibiotics, send these cells there to heal. But what if we can use quantum hypnosis, and not what if, but we can use quantum hypnosis to get deep enough to have a conversation with the subconscious mind, to ask it to heal cancer. And it gives us a response. Typically it says she can heal it if she wants to. Well, why does she have cancer in the liver? Because she's angry at her mother. She's been angry at her mother for years. And this is manifested into a disease, the hate that she has for her mother. So Julia Cannon, which is Dolores' daughter, wrote a book. And this book talks about all the illnesses that Julia and her mother have encountered over the years with different clients. And the responses that Dolores and Julia have gotten from the higher self, the subconscious mind, they've cataloged them. So now we know that cancer is hate. We know that when you have hip problems or ankle problems, you're carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders. We know that when you have eczema, you've been burned in a different lifetime, because they've gotten thousands of clients who've had eczema. And when asked, and these people don't know each other, and when asked, where did this eczema come from? She was burned as a little girl, or she was burned because she was practicing spirituality. Whatever the case may be, is always associated with being burned. So we can heal using quantum healing hypnosis because we are in direct contact, and we can facilitate this healing through the higher self as long as we have permission from the client. So at its core, quantum healing hypnosis, it facilitates a deep relaxation, and it guides individuals into a state of heightened awareness and where they can actually, be guided to different lifetimes. We can actually speak to the higher self and then bring this healing, not bring, facilitate this healing for the client. So I use it. I've learned how to use it. The Lord, and one more thing, she had on one of the video training sessions, I can remember there was one of the trainers that was he was taking yoga classes, and he wanted his hips to be looser, and he just could not get to the different poses. He went and had one of the uh, quantum healing students in the class hypnotize him and ask the subconscious mind, can we loosen his hips up so that he can move to different levels and with the yoga poses? And the next time he went to class, he was able to do more poses than he ever did before. And the instructor asked him, where did all this happen? He was like, if I told you, you wouldn't believe me. So
That's amazing. And
yes,
I
yes,
suppose you speak about this in your book as well,
speak about
Empowered
it.
by
Yes, I do.
Consciousness. Yeah, and people can certainly read that. Before we close out, what is one piece of advice that you would give to people who are just feeling, maybe they feel some of the things that you were just talking about, or they're just feeling lost in their lives right now, or discouraged in their lives right now? What's one piece of advice you could give them?
I would say explore, and all the answers will come from within you, but explore. Trust, relax, discover, explore it within yourself. Start to spend time within yourself so that you can build this level of relaxation and peace. And from that, it will help you make the decision. I'm going to work with Rachel so that she can help open me more. I'm going to work with Jason. I'm going to work with this other lady I saw. It gives you the clarity to start the process.
Mhm.
And a lot of us are sitting back saying, oh, wow, that's fine. And then we go and suffer for the next week or two.
So true.
Um, we're dealing with depression and we're crying 3 days out of the week. And then the other 2 days or other 4 days, we're just fine. And all of a sudden, we're in the room with the window blinds closed and we cannot move.
Right.
It's
Right.
only when a person, Rachel, has said enough is enough.
That's right. You have to be ready. No one can drag you. You have to be ready to make that move yourself. That's
Yes.
beautiful.
Yes.
Jason Medlock's book is Empowered by Consciousness. Thank you so much for being here. Before we go, where can listeners find you?
www.jasonmedlock.com. You can find everything about me. The book is there. I have mindset coaching programs that I use quantum healing hypnosis as one of the tools in my bag to help people break free and move yourself to the next level on whatever the blockage may be. So jasonmedlock.com, you can find me there. And also, I have a podcast in expansion of consciousness. And we have a great time, just like you do on that podcast, talking about everything you can think of.
Beautiful, beautiful. And I will have these links in the show notes. Jason, what a blessing it was to have you here today. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you too, Rachel, and I really appreciate it.
Hi, this is Rachel Astarte from the Self Talk Podcast. I'd love for you to send me your emails with questions or stories about yourself. What are you looking for? What are your questions? What are you grappling with in your own personal life that has to do with your identity, with yourself, with your very existence? These are the things that we're going to talk about during the podcast. And go ahead, it's all right. Get deep. I can handle it. So send them to Rachel@selftalkpodcast.com. And I'll see you on the next episode.